There we go. Hi. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you if you're here. Hi, Boo. Hey, Fiend. Hey, Brenda. Brenda says, here, I have not been following. Well, then you came to the right place, babe. Oh, Mar, what's up? Heavy. Oh, it's so good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping in tonight. So, excuse I'm very undone. I feel like I needed another 30 minutes to refresh. This was such a last minute idea. Well, not even an idea really, but a last minute thing I felt compelled to do. While in the middle of work today, and work's been busy. But in the middle of work today, I was just refreshing and keeping updated with this case we're talking about tonight, the death investigation into the death of Nolan Wells from Mississippi. So I was at work today and I was checking and refreshing and looking at all the things and watching Don Lemon, who is the one media source on YouTube that's actually been covering Nolan Wells' case from day one, pretty much. So I was watching all this and just getting furious with where we are right now, and just this entire story in general is infuriating. I think, especially for me right now, with the research and investigation, if you will, I'm doing into the white supremacy issues in Indiana, to now be dealing with this case out of Mississippi and what's gone on with Nolan Wells and his family. It's just a lot of hate and hateful people to process at once, possibly. Not necessarily. Now, let me preface this by saying there's not necessarily hateful people in Nolan Wells's case. I'm saying that in regards to the history of Jackson County, the county that this is happening in, not the people involved directly with Nolan Wells's case. Because let's just start from the beginning, shall we? Let's.
5:04 this Monday morning as we do get to our headlines and the search that continues today off the coast of Mississippi for a man who went missing in the Gulf on the 4th of July.
Officials identified him as 18-year-old Nolan Wells. Authorities say Wells, who you see there on your screen, was last seen Saturday afternoon on Horn Island. That's the barrier island near Ocean Springs. Right now, it's still unclear if he ever made it back to the mainland. He disappeared after visiting with friends. The United Cajun Navy is assisting with the search.
A body matching the description of a missing college football player in Mississippi has been found in Horn Island off the Gulf Coast. Now the search has been called off. 18-year-old Nolan Wells, a football player at Southwest Mississippi Community College, went missing on the 4th of July. He and some friends took a boat out to the island for the holiday. Horn Island is an undeveloped barrier island off the Mississippi coast, and it's known for its strong currents. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office, the Coast Guard, and the United Cajun Navy helped search for Wells for 2 days. Wells' mother thanked the search crews for their help on Facebook.
A prominent civil rights lawyer is now representing the family of Nolan Wells after the 18-year-old teen was found dead in Mississippi yesterday. Ben Crump, a lawyer whose firm represented the families of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, announced that the family of Wells is calling for a thorough and transparent investigation into how he died. Wells was celebrating the 4th of July off the coast of Horn Island when he disappeared. His body was found Monday morning near the area where he was last seen. The Jackson County Sheriff says there's currently no information leading them to believe a crime was committed. The coroner performed an autopsy, but it'll take some time for results to come back. Now, Crump did release a statement saying in part, quote, his family deserves answers. They deserve the truth, and we will not rest until every fact about what happened to Nolan on Horn Island is brought into the light. And we call on investigators to pursue this case with the urgency and transparency this family deserves.
More on the mysterious death of Nolan Wells.
Okay. So, fucking heartbreaking, obviously. Nolan Xavier Wells, 18 years old, lived in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. It's in Jackson County. Again, thank you guys so much for being here, my cranks, my people. I love you and your support, especially for this case, because it's really important to me. So, not a lot of people in mainstream media were covering this case at all. Luckily, that seems to have changed. I don't know if you guys have heard about this on your own yet. Let me know in chat if you have. But mostly the story was just being discussed, on YouTube, online, independent, whatever the hell you want to call them, journalists. Were really the main ones digging into this. I will say Don Lemon has been a prominent figure with a large YouTube channel, and I loved him back in his CNN days before I realized CNN was awful. But I used to love Don Lemon, and so I've been following his own YouTube channel for a while, and he's been covering this really from the beginning, and it's been amazing. But aside from that, not until recently, and that's because of all of us watching and following this story on social media and talking about it, that mainstream media is now finally picking up the case. Let me see what woman is bringing up here. We will watch this. This is a good video. So, woman linked to a video of a family kind of experiencing kayaking and going up to a Black young teenager that seemed to have been stranded, and they were trying to force his friends were trying to force him to swim, even though he told them he can't swim. So we'll watch that. Remind me, because that is very relevant right now. But where were we? So essentially, Nolan Wells, 18 years old, on July 4th, he went to Horn Island. Horn Island is like this little island off the coast of Mississippi. And Nolan lived in Ocean Springs, Jackson County. And they were all there celebrating the 4th of July. And this county is a predominantly white county. I pulled that up somewhere. Here it is. Ocean Springs, Mississippi is a growing coastal city of nearly 19,000 residents located in Jackson County with a median household income of nearly $80,000. The area boasts a poverty rate of roughly 5%. The community is predominantly white, and that's at 77 to 80% white. Okay, 77 to 80% white with notable Asian 5% and Black 7 to 8% population. Okay, so it's a little heavy-handed over there. And unfortunately, it has a little bit of a history. So just in like the most recent history I've looked up, there was a Jackson County sheriff. His name's Mike Bird. In 2013, he was indicted on 31 felony and misdemeanor counts, including embezzlement, extortion, witness tampering, and fraud. The investigation revealed he used his office to retaliate against political foes, pushed an arrest in a murder case despite a detective's objections, and used public funds and county employees for personal tasks. In late 2013, Bird pled guilty to a state felony charge of intimidating a witness, resigned from office, and was sentenced to house arrest. There's also been other fraud and embezzlement cases gone on within this county, okay? So this county has a history of issues. Now, you look at Mississippi within itself, and let me also preface this part by saying I am very clearly a white woman. I will never know the experience of a black man, black woman. I could never even grasp the day-to-day differences. And yeah, I would never be able to understand it. So that being said, I want to be as cautious as possible when talking about things I don't fucking understand or like experience myself. And I want to be as respectful as possible, right? And so with that being said, I would also like to say, I hope, and all of my mods in here, all my babies in here, if you see anyone fucking trolling or saying some nasty shit, please remove them immediately. Because unfortunately on Twitter, the Nolan Wells tag is filled with disgusting shit. Overwhelming replies of racist ass accounts. It's the most disgusting thing I've fucking seen. It's quite upsetting. And I really miss when Twitter wasn't so fucking racist able. When they actually used to fucking ban those accounts. Okay, anyway, so this county has issues, right, y'all? Okay. County has issues. Now, he went to Horn Island. He was on the boat with 3 of his white friends. The report is that the last time they saw their friend, Nolan, was at 3 p.m. on the 4th of July. They said he was talking to a girl. Okay. They said that he had told his friends that he was going to stay back and like hang out with the girl because he liked her. Okay. That's the friend's story. And then they left because I believe that they said their boat was like taking on water, so they had to leave. And at that point they thought Nolan was already gone and found another way back. So they just left. Okay, that's their story. All right, now let's see what Nolan's family says about that.
We're joined by his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, as well as their attorney, Ben Crump. And before we get started, first off, I want to thank you for being here under these circumstances. Know how.
Really quick, because this is a good question. Were they drinking? Yes. So let me fix my so I'm not posting over my own face. Yes, they were drinking. They were all partying on this island. Nolan was 18. And they were all in college. Nolan was already a sophomore at a community college actually in the area. So they were all partying. And actually come to find out some of their parents were with them. So it was a situation where to get to this island too, if you need to have a boat to get there. So you all like post up your boats around the like beach area and you all party from your boats kind of situation, or you get off and you're on the island, whatever. So it was kind of like that. And they were all drinking and having a good time. And so they leave. And that's the last time they heard from him, 3 p.m. Now the mom doesn't hear from her son. And she obviously starts freaking out because it's completely unlike him. Okay.
How extremely tough it must be, and we can express our how sorry we are for you and your family. And first question, how are you two holding up?
Taking it second by second.
Day by day.
Second by second and day by day, which we all can understand. And I just want to ask you, the friends that Nolan traveled to Horn Island with, They say that he stayed behind voluntarily. Why would he stay behind?
That we cannot answer. I can't fathom why he would. Like,
I don't know why he would. We always taught him to, if you go with a group, you stay with a group. Even when he was in college, he would say, Dad, well, we're gonna ride down to a party or something in another city. So I was telling him, look, if you go with 5, you come back with 5. Do not separate from your group. Because I always said safety is in numbers. And he always said, yes, sir. So he knew to stay with his group. So why would he split from his group? I don't know.
So that would have been unusual for him to split from the group. And you said he would always check in with you. Did he check in with you that day?
so that day, no, I don't. But of course, too, they were on the boat, and usually when he is out there, which it's not uncommon, he's I think since last year he's been going there occasionally with his friends, and so it would always just be like, hey Mom, I'm back, type of thing. But this time there was no call or text from him, it was from his friend.
And then too, really didn't worry a lot about it because it was his last weekend to have fun.
Yeah.
Because that Monday he had to report to school. We was preparing to take him back for camp to prepare for the season. So, we're gonna see. He wanted to have his last little hurrah before he locked down and get ready for the season. Because, like I said, the entire summer he's training. He got more serious. He started to understand what I was trying to tell him about football, not just being fun, but as you get farther in it, it becomes a business. If you want to excel, you have to understand, and you have to understand both at the same time.
And we know, Ben, that you said that you're going to do an independent investigation.
Yes.
And you said you have Nolan's cell phone and messages were deleted. How could you tell messages were deleted?
Well, his parents got the phone back, and that's something that's important, Michael, because they tracked this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima, and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because her two sons, Jalen and Javon, they grew up together. They played City League sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
It wasn't like they said we got his phone, they tracked it. And that highlights all these contradictions, Michael. The fact that they said Nolan was talking to a young woman, and she said that he said, I'm going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys said that he said he was going to stay with her. And so that's an obvious.
Okay, so that was the first major red flag in this case, is that the friends who went back without Nolan stated that Nolan said he was going to stay back with the girl he met and was talking to that he liked. Okay. However, that girl came forward and told them, no, when I was speaking to Nolan, he was going back with his friends. So that's very alarming. I don't think enough people put enough emphasis on that contradiction in the story. A lot of people are like, well, and it's true. I mean, we don't know. This could still be a horrible, tragic accident. However, a glaring contradiction when the last people to see him alive are saying he stayed on land to hang out with some girl, and the girl immediately is like, wait a minute, no, We said bye and he was going back with his friends. So what the fuck? Why? Right?
Contradiction. And then this video of this, you can hear an argument going where Nolan is saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing? And so then his phone ends up missing. I don't know any teenagers, Michael Strahan, who says, if you believe their story, I'm gonna stay behind and I'm gonna leave my phone. I mean, no young person leaves their cell phone. And so then there's so many things their parents were telling us about, even why didn't his body wash up with the tide on Sunday? Why would it come on Monday? It's not adding up. And that is the problem when you think about the history of Mississippi.
Yeah, so there are so many questions that need to be answered. And is there anything you'd like people to know about Nolan? What would you like them to know about your son?
No,
okay.
Nolan, take your time. Nolan was very loving. He was liked by all. It was not a friend that he couldn't make.
No, we'll be right back with more for the parents of Nolan Wells and attorney Ben Crump. We're back now on GMA with the parents of Nolan Wells, Christina and Elmore Wansley. And I want you to please continue to tell us what you want the world to know about your son.
So Nolan was just like this bright light, right? Walk into a room, his smile, his energy was just so infectious. Like it's almost like he drew you into him. And he was just one of those people, like he always wanted everyone to be included. He didn't want anyone to feel left out. I remember one of his teachers emailing us, I can't remember what grade he was in, but basically it was math class. They had a special needs student and she asked a question and Nolan got everyone to put their hands down because he wanted that student to answer. And so student answers the question and she was like, Christine, the classroom, Nolan went crazy and everyone else started going crazy, just celebrating that child. Making them feel included. And that was the person he was. Like he loved everyone. And I always told Nolan, like, you know, you have to be careful when you have such a big heart like that. I love that God blessed you with that, but you have to be careful with that because, you know, that it's not always returned, that type of love. But he was just genuinely a good person. Like I always say, all the best parts of me are with him.
And Dad, anything else you want to add?
Hey, Classic says, when did this happen? He went missing, last seen, according to his friends, 3 p.m. on 4th of July, Saturday the 4th of July. His body was inevitably found on shore where he was last seen on July 6th. So a couple days later. All right, so that's what I find really alarming also with that is that how did he end up right in the area he went missing, right? With every report I've seen about this area was saying that the riptide or something about that current was like really strong, right? They were saying. So if that's true, if the current is rough right there, then how does he end up right in the area he went missing from? Right? Is that not? I mean, I don't know my science is that well, but it just seems a little weird. I do not have a map, but you know what we can do? We can pull one up. I wouldn't know exactly where on this. island he would have been, though. But, oops. Just as a quickie, this is like the island they were all partying at. And then he lived in Ocean Springs, which is right freaking there. Right here. So they probably dock over here. Not far at all.
It's just, he's going to be really missed. I know a lot of his teammates, they all look to him as a leader. He's more like a silent leader. Not real big on words, more action, which is kind of like I was. I really wasn't real big on talking. I really wanted to show you, and you follow me, and people follow him. And it's gravitated. He put in the work, he worked hard, and he knew he was focused on what he wanted. And he wanted to make life better for, his family. He wanted to have his own family. He used to say, Dad, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to build this. I said, well, son, you got to take it one step at a time. Slow down, let's go, let's walk this thing out. Let's train, let's sign our deals, let's make these teams, make these camps, put the work in, and everything else will work out. Even his baby brother, their bond got even stronger, because now I have a big brother that he's finna do something, so now I want to outdo that. So his focus and his confidence has got even better. So I was looking forward to both of them having outstanding years.
Seasons,
It seemed like he inspired in the home, and he inspired outside of the home. And Attorney Crump, where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, the deleted messages that Christina was going to briefly touch on, we want to get the phone and figure that out.
Backtrack on that. When we finally got his phone, me and my sister went through the phone. We went in his Snapchat. He had 2 accounts, absolutely nothing. It wasn't even 24 hours, which is how long videos and pictures stay in Snapchat. And I was just like, that can't be. Like, I've seen Nolan whenever he snaps, like when he goes and he's having fun, like he does videos. Like, there was absolutely nothing, no saved videos. And even my sister was like, yeah, that's suspicious,
Michael, we having an independent autopsy done at the behest of his family. Colin Kaepernick helped pay for the independent autopsy. We flew his body up from Mississippi to D.C. because they wanted an autopsy done by a person with no interaction with the Mississippi law enforcement, because there's an issue of trust here that is really important. And the fact that they keep trying to say, suggesting it was a drowning, but nobody out there reported him drowning, it's not adding up, Michael Strahan. It is not adding up.
Really important there. Like, they haven't even done the preliminary autopsy. They didn't have the preliminary autopsy results yet. So what do you mean it was a drowning? How'd you come up with that? Okay, that's fucking weird. All right. Now, you're dealing with an area, as we discussed, that has some issues. Mississippi within itself has quite a horrible racist past. So if you were Nolan Wells's parents, would you trust the sheriff's department to adequately investigate your son's death? If you had a black son in a 77 to 80% predominantly white county that has a history of corruption? in recent history. I wouldn't fucking trust him. And that's, you know, in part why they went this route and immediately got in contact with a civil rights attorney, and, you know, amazing help came their way, thankfully. Colin Kaepernick. Absolutely not. Everyone is saying, hell no. Nope. Absolutely not. Actually, negative 7,000%. Yeah. So, I know that there are a lot of people that are having issues with this story. There are some people that are, you know, offended by the fact that everyone wants to instantly look at the white friends. However, I think given the history here and fucking the history of our goddamn nation, especially right now when we're seeing a resurgence of hate and hate crimes all over the country, I think that these parents did amazing. Like, they have done to the T everything above and beyond that they could for Nolan, and they should be so fucking proud. So fucking proud. And I would hope that my family would do half of what they've done for their child. And to be clear, they're not accusing anyone of murdering their son. Not at all. Not for a second is his family accusing anyone of killing him. They're just terrified that this county won't investigate it adequately. They're terrified that the fact that they had already predetermined this was an accidental drowning before a preliminary autopsy was even complete. You know, it's like, hold up. Why? So, yeah, everything should be looked at, Candy says. Totally agreed. So, yeah, people can be offended and all that stuff about this story all they want, but this family has every right to be worried about this and to do everything they can to honor and get justice for their son, who, by all accounts, was an amazing young man. And so I think they deserve just to get a proper investigation, and that's kind of why it's important for me right now to cover this case, too, is because I also saw a recent report by News Nation featuring a woman journalist that I actually have a ton of respect for, commenting on Nolan's case, and I really, really didn't like how she approached it. It really bothered me. So we're going to take a look at that too. Because as much as I like this journalist, it did not feel good. But first, let's finish this.
And honestly, we are doing this because at the end of the day, I would hope any parent would fight for their kids to find out if anything happened, what did happen. So we just want honesty and transparency. We want a thorough investigation. We want that same respect that would be given to anybody else, and that's it. We just want answers.
Well, we really appreciate all of you being here. We hope you get the answers that you deserve to have, and we hope you get
So now to the latest on the mysterious death of Nolan Wells. For the first time since Wells' body was found, we're hearing from a friend of the 18-year-old who was with him on the day that he died. Trayston Shepard, who says that he was with Wells on the 4th of July, but declined to speak on camera because of the threats that he says he's been receiving.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short.
All right, Kajachi, and also legal analyst and attorney Brian Buckmeyer join me now for more. So, Ike, what more are we learning about why Wells stayed behind and didn't go back to the mainland with his friends?
Yeah, Kara, this has really been at the center of everything. This question, why did Nolan Wells stay behind when everyone else decided to actually leave the island? Well, now we're hearing from someone who was there that day. His childhood friend, Trayston Shepard, said that the boat that they came on experienced an electrical issue and they had to go back to shore because of that. And he says Nolan told the group he wanted to stay behind because he'd met a girl and planned to catch a ride back on another friend's boat. Now, Shepard described this trip as one last...
Hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up. That is really odd. Okay, I'm going to back up here so we can listen to this friend talk about the reason they were having issues on the boat.
Now, Shepard described this trip as one last hurrah before everyone scattered back to school and work after this holiday. There were about 300 people on that island that day. A lot of them were high school classmates. They knew each other, and they wanted to spend this time as just one big party before everyone dispersed wherever they needed to go. But according to his friend, Trayston Shepard said that this wasn't anything sinister at all. It was an 18-year-old who wanted to have fun, but Kira, as we know, that 18-year-old Nolan Wells never made it back to shore.
Well, and Brian, Trayston also addressed the viral video
This wasn't anything sinister at all. It was an 800 people on that island that day. A lot of them were school classmates. They knew each other, and they wanted to spend this time as just one big party before everyone dispersed wherever they needed to go. But according to his friend, Trayston Shepard said that this wasn't anything sinister at all when everyone else decided to actually leave the island. Well, now we're hearing from someone who was there that day. His childhood friend, Trayston Shepard, said that the boat that they came on experienced an electrical issue and they had to go back to shore because of...
I apologize for completely losing my place, as always. But we got there. So that was the important part I wanted to re-listen to was he said they were having electrical issues. And so they had to leave and go to shore. However, there's new audio out tonight from the boat.
Tonight, new audio shedding light on the moments before some of Nolan Wells' friends left Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. A mom of one of the friends last week said the group left without Nolan when their boat began malfunctioning.
We're sinking. Can y'all please come?
NBC News has obtained audio as part of a records request that details the group calling for towing assistance.
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
Nolan went to the island in a boat with friends on July 4th. His body was found 2 days later. It's unclear whether Nolan was with anyone when he disappeared. This as the search for answers in the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells continues. His family's attorneys saying they'll now work side by side with investigators to analyze Nolan's cell phone.
So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the...
In the audio, why are they talking about the boat sinking? If it's electrical issues, why was the boat sinking? I don't understand boats. I don't know how modern boats are equipped these days. So if someone in chat, by all means, let me know if there's something about like the technology of boats now where if like the technology isn't working, it could cause the boat to start sinking or taking on water. That sounds odd to me. But So apparently electrical issues. Oh, here we go, Tammy. The bilge pump malfunctioned, so it was taking in water. What is a bilge pump? Let's see. Bilge pump. See, thank God I asked. Thank God I asked. A bilge pump is a vital marine safety tool used to remove excess water that pools in the lowest part of the. So if that's going to malfunction, that would certainly start taking on water. Thank you for that clarification. Look at you, girl, doing an edumacation. Appreciate you. That makes total sense. All right. Now, back to. Can y'all see who I was talking about yet? Here we go.
So now to the latest on the mysterious death of Nolan Wells. For the first time since Wells' body was found, we're hearing from a friend of the 18-year-old who was with him on the
people on that island that day. A lot of them were high school classmates. They knew each other, and they wanted to spend this time as just one big party before everyone dispersed wherever they needed to go. But according to his friend, Trayston Shepard said that this wasn't anything sinister at all. It was an 18-year-old who wanted to have fun, but Kira, as we know, that 18-year-old Nolan Wells never made it back to shore.
Well, and Brian, Trayston also addressed the viral video. Investigators, I've been looking into, saying he's actually the one yelling, not Wells. How crucial is that?
Kira, I think it's very crucial in the sense of now we know who's yelling, why they were yelling, and according to Trayston, it had nothing to do with what Nolan Wells was doing. Instead, giving us a description that a stranger was kind of getting in his face and he was yelling at him. This closed down one avenue of investigation, and while that might be heartbreaking that it doesn't give us an answer, eliminating possibilities as to what happened will hopefully steer us in the right direction, finding the right reason as to why everything happened. And then going back to something that Ike said, I hope that with Trayston saying Wells was there talking to a girl, that we can get a description of that girl, what she was wearing, who she might be, and follow up on more questions.
So then, Brian.
Okay, well, we know they followed up with that girl who claims that no, he went back with his friends. So,
at this point of the investigation, it's the autopsy that I know we're all waiting to hear about, because that will definitely help us try to figure out what exactly happened, right?
Yes, the autopsy is probably the next step and probably the biggest step in determining what happened here. Autopsies do two things. It tells you the cause of death and the manner of death. It could be any number of things in terms of being a homicide, an accident. I don't believe it's going to be a natural death, but that determination is going to be important. But then also, of course, the cause. What caused Nolan Wells to die? Is it strictly the drowning? Was it something else? Is there blunt force trauma? That's going to give us a lot more answers and hopefully some questions that lead to the ultimate question and answer of what happened to Nolan Wells and how did he die.
All right, Ike, Brian, thank you both.
All right, Cuomo Crime Time. Animation's too long, but I like it in the podcast.
Freaking Cuomo's so irritating. Spooky said, have they said anything about if water was found in his lungs? So, thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what I was going to get into before I moved forward, is that the preliminary autopsy results have not been released. Now, they have not been released by Jackson County, and Nolan Wells' family got an independent autopsy done. That was completed, and they also haven't released their preliminary autopsy results. Now, and Ben Crump had acted like once they got the preliminary results, they would release them, and for some reason they have now decided against that. Could be many reasons why. To me, it is a little suspect that if If I were this county with all this pressure going on right now and all this constant media attention and the fact that you're dealing with your history and the undertones and the overtones of issues they may be having there, like if you do the preliminary autopsy and you find fluid in his lungs and evidence of just drowning, it would make sense to release that as soon as possible. And then to also say, okay, but toxicology is out and we are still waiting for that to come back. Should there be anything in his system, right, that could have caused him to drown, right? So they could be, on one hand, devil's advocate. They're trying to be extra cautious to not release anything before they know the full picture. But that's doesn't sound like what they would normally do in this situation. Toxicology takes a long time. Toxicology could take 6 weeks, 6 to 9 weeks, something like that. And it's a, small area. So it is odd to me that they would not want to at least release the preliminary to say, hey, we found evidence of drowning. With that combined on top of the fact that they haven't even released the independent autopsy results that were done, it makes me feel like they're agreeing to both remain silent pending the ongoing investigation. Oh, wait, Tammy said, they said it looks like an accidental drowning with no signs of foul play, but it's still an ongoing investigation. Yeah, they said initially they didn't see any outward signs of trauma, but that's before they even completed the autopsy. So I'm not going to take that comment as Bible. They hadn't even completed the autopsy. Abby says, sorry, I'm back. Scrabble competition. Wait. DB, I meant find Nolan. Dubes, there is no excuse for you. Oh, boy. All right. So we've got some ongoing weird shit going on at the same time as that, right? So real quick, I'm gonna take it over here. Oh, here it is.
The mom who went to retrieve the phone, and she spoke out to my dear friend and former colleague Laura Coates last night. Watch.
Christine called me and told me, hey, where are the boys? Nolan hasn't been heard from since such and such time. Where are your boys? I said, well, Javon is with his girlfriend, and I just spoke with Jalen, and they are headed to downtown, which I was literally getting ready to get in the shower to go downtown as well. Mm-hmm. She said, well, Nolan hasn't been. So I instantly called with Christine on the phone, Javon. Javon said, no, he hadn't seen Nolan since early on the island. And he was like, what? Are y'all serious? He was like, yes. And so Christine intervened in the conversation, said, Nolan has not been heard from since he left the island. So Javon was like, well, that's when I seen it. I haven't seen it since then. Again, everybody goes their separate ways. So I then hang up from Javon because obviously there's nothing he can say to tell me anything. So then Jalen, I call him. Jalen did not answer the phone. Christine again is on the phone. Jalen did not answer the phone. LeBaron, I called, after he didn't answer the phone, I called LeBaron, which is their other friend, LeBaron Broomfield. He answered. He said, Jalen is in the gas station. Hold on. So he said, hey, Jalen, Mom on the phone. So he was like, Jalen, like, what's up, Mom? What's going on? I was like, hey, have y'all heard from Nolan? They said no. We have not heard from Nolan.
But where was the phone?
So I was like, well, okay, so that's when we started tracking the phone. Well, for Christine, it said one place, but for them on Snapchat, it showed another place. So that's the place we went to. And it showed that everybody that was in the house, it was like a lot of people there. Like it was, I'm not familiar with all the kids. I only know like one or two people there, but it showed that the phone was at what a lot of people were at. So that's how we knew where to go to. We went there. They were all there. They were sitting there, lights off, watching TV.
Did they immediately give you the phone? Because knowing that phone was there.
It took about 15. They did. They gave me the phone, but it took about 15 minutes to get the phone. Because I even asked, I'm like, did y'all have to walk back to Horn Island to get the phone? Or like, where's the phone? Because it took so long when they said it was in, when Wyatt told me it was in his truck, it took him so long to get the phone back to me.
Christine,
So when they brought the phone back.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tashima. I want to hear that.
When they brought the phone, after I said something about it, he was like, well, she's going to get it. I was like, who's going to get it? He's like, the girl's going to get the phone.
So that made me feel weird because I would love to know what time it was when she went up to that house, because there being a bunch of them in the house sitting with the lights off watching TV sounds so fucking weird. Like, what? Right after 4th of July? And y'all are, it could be completely innocent. It just sounds like, what are you all doing? Now, it taking 15 minutes to get the phone is alarming. It was so noticeable to her, that she tracked the time it took to convince them to give her the phone. That's not like a simple exchange of, okay, can I have the phone? Sure, let me go get it. Like, no, there were some interactions going on there in order to get the phone. Why? It's weird. Also, yeah, and also why, Candy says, because the phone was fine and not with him, they fingerprint the phone. I'm sure they will, but I'm sure it's also kind of pointless now knowing all those people were there, because, who knows. But also, if he decided to stay back with that girl, why did he leave his phone with them? Tammy says, keep in mind they were all drunk. The phone was in Wyatt's truck. Yeah, it's the Wyatt's truck thing sounded. I need to listen to somebody retell that again, because that sounded odd. Did any of these kids have a recent spat with Nolan? I haven't heard anything like that at all. No. nothing at all like that. There was a rumor that there was that video going around. There was a video going around of that Ben Crump, the civil rights attorney for the family, said that you could hear a man saying, give me my phone back. However, you've got Tristan, his other friend, Nolan's other friend, saying, hey, that video of people arguing is me. I don't know if they're referring to two different videos or if they're referring to the same video. Because there's one video where you hear people arguing and it goes by and you see people like standing off on the sand. But you can't really tell who it is that's arguing. But you can't hear a conversation in that video. I can't hear anyone arguing about give me my phone back, give me my phone back. So I don't know if they're referring to a different video we haven't even heard or seen. I don't know. Okay, Tammy says same video, but how do we know? Because I don't hear shit about that playing in the phone. Yeah.
You can go and subscribe on YouTube right now, Cuomo Crime Time, where we take you inside stories to try to get to what people are selling you and whether or not you should be buying, okay? This Nolan Wells case is a very interesting one and a good example, proof of premise. Online, it's all about the conspiracies. Racism is the least of it, okay? What do we know?
First of all, Mr. fucking Cuomo, racism is not a fucking conspiracy theory, you fucking idiot. I didn't even notice that part until just now. The fucking conspiracy theory. Fuck out of here. God, I hate him now. What happened to you? What happened to you? We used to be something in my head, Chris Cuomo. You're hot. And now you're just an asshole and now you're ugly. Because you're an asshole. Hi, T! What up? Oh my god. Wait, Spooky said, this be the path. That'd be a gun. Jesus Christ. T, it is so good to see you here. All right. Oh, fuck. Deal with this. Fuck. Here we go.
July 4th, Nolan, black teen, went out on a boat in Mississippi with 4 of his friends who were all white. Later that day, the 4 other kids returned, no Nolan. But they did have his cell phone. They say Nolan chose to stay back on the island voluntarily. Without his phone? Nolan's body was found after a 2-day search in the water near the shoreline. Now there is a suggestion that he wasn't in the water, he got back out and was seen at a party. Nolan's parents don't buy the story as told and think race may be a factor. Lauren Conlon covers the story and the conspiracy theories circulating online for LA Magazine and joins us now. Lauren.
Now, what's the definition of a conspiracy theory? I'm gonna look it up. Because sometimes I'll just be saying shit. A conspiracy theory is an explanation of a harmful, mysterious, or tragic event that credits a secretive, powerful group with orchestrating it, explicitly rejecting the official or generally accepted narrative. There's a secretive, powerful group alleging racism. Racism isn't a theory, it's a fact. It's a thing, especially in Mississippi, that has a horrible past to it.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
What doesn't make sense to you right now that is out there?
I mean, Chris, let's be honest. We don't know a lot factually. Law enforcement hasn't actually put anything out there that we can verify, anything that's credible. And I just want to point out, it's been a week, just about a week. Autopsies, they can take months. Toxicologies, they can take months. With that being said, I understand his family.
Now she knows damn well preliminary autopsy is done in like 24 hours. Okay. However, yes, toxicology can take fucking forever. Right? We all know that. The actual like getting into like if there were just simply signs of drowning and they just want to make sure there's no like drugs or anything in his system or alcohol that could have contributed to that, then and they want to wait on the toxicology, that's another like 6 to 9 weeks, whatever, depending how bad it's backed up. But given the importance of the case, it's going to move right to the top. Also, I don't believe we've discussed this, but Horn Island is federal land. So the FBI were investigating with them from day one because it's federal land. Okay. So the FBI has already got their own information going on right now, simultaneously.
Wants answers. I mean, the whole thing about his phone being with his friend, his wallet and his belongings. I mean, you know, that's strange. Teens generally don't part with their phones. However, they're all hanging out. They're on an island. They're boating. They're swimming. My opinion, he probably put it down. He forgot about it. He's talking to a girl. He likes this girl. You know.
My opinion. I don't like the flippant way she discusses this. And no, it's not Horn Island spooky. It's Horn Island. Oh, Lord.
The days get crazy and they're fun. They're all having fun at this point. So, I mean, the conspiracy theories and the content creators and the online sleuths at this point are making a lot of noise. And I will say they have good intentions. They absolutely do. But I think there are too many cooks in the kitchen right now, so to speak.
Two things can be true at the same time. People don't swim with their phone. Okay, right? Because they don't want it to get wet. So that would be a plausible explanation of why you leave it on the boat. However, if you decided to stay, why wouldn't you take your phone? So that is a legitimate question, while there could be an explanation for the original placement of the phone. Now comes this photo that people are using as proof that, yeah, but he wasn't in the water. There he is right there. Can we verify that that's who he is, or we just see someone with brown skin?
Well, his family hasn't verified who that is, Cuomo. And also, you can't see the metadata on that photo. I have seen various reports that came out actually today of people who were at that party who said that party actually happened in June. I don't know about you. I don't post a lot of photos in real time. And again,
thank you, Candy. I was trying to highlight it. It won't let me highlight the poop. I want to highlight the poop, but won't let me. You know what they need to do? Now that they have these, like, sending all these little emojis, they need to do it like TikTok, where it's, like, super fucking annoying and it, like, explodes on the screen. And then it would have, like, exploding poop. I did not like the demeanor. I did not like the tone. I did not like the flippantness, the nonchalance. I didn't like it, which is disappointing because I actually tend to really like her. So, what are you going to do?
again, this is not verified by law enforcement. This is online. Right. These are people talking. So I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think that was the night of July 4th into July 5th. But again, I feel awful for his.
Okay, and I haven't seen this confirmed, but judging on Ben Crump's reaction earlier to a question by a reporter, I've heard rumors that they have the metadata on this phone, on this picture, and it was taken like June 27th or something. That's the rumor I heard. Ben Crump was asked about why he was like reposting things that were unconfirmed, and he got pretty angry, saying that he was just posting all the information he possibly could to generate tips and information, and that he made it very clear he was reposting specifically to garner more information. So T says, isn't she the one reporting on Insider to 16-2? Yeah, majorly reporting on that one. Major. Yeah, Fig says everyone keeps calling him a man too, not a teenager. He was only 18. Yeah, I hope I've been saying young man. But yeah, he was still like a baby, and he was a sophomore in college too.
His family, I cannot even imagine what they're going through not having these answers. But I would say trust law enforcement at this point. Trust.
Bitch, what?
Having these answers, but I would say trust law enforcement at this point through not having these answers. But I would say trust law enforcement at this point. Going through not having these answers, but I would say trust law enforcement at this point.
Bitch! Oh, throw this shit. Okay. Yes, ma'am. We'll trust law enforcement in Jackson County, Mississippi, that just had a major scandal back in 2013. Very, very, very corrupt, longtime sheriff. But trust law enforcement. Trust law enforcement. That told you it was an accidental drowning before they even got the preliminary autopsy results back. Trust law enforcement. Abby says, books. Oh my god, I thought you actually threw it and I froze. I was like, I literally was going to, and then I thought about it. I was like, but then I'm going to have to like get up and wipe it. I was like, oh, not worth it. This is so upsetting, honestly. Trust law enforcement. Come on, girl. You're a journalist. You're an investigative journalist. You know better.
Trust the process, as awful and as grueling as it is.
Understood.
It does take more than a week.
Understood. Lauren Collins.
You know what doesn't take more than a fucking week, Lauren Conlon? Preliminary autopsy results.
Thank you. I know you'll be on it, and we're here for it. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone. And
we have a major.
Trust law enforcement, right? Trust law enforcement. All right, so what if it's not law enforcement? What if you have sinister fucking friends who see something awful happen and just freak the fuck out and decide to run away and just what the fuck ever? Wouldn't be the first time. Actually, it wouldn't even be the first time within the last couple months in a totally different state.
break tonight to tell you about in the death of a North Texas teen. It was supposed to be a fun day of fishing for 3 young men at Lake Ray Hubbard. Instead, it turned deadly after the group jumped in to swim, and 18-year-old Daniel Irving never resurfaced. Now, months later, police have arrested a 19-year-old they say tried to cover up and hide what actually happened that day. Fox 4's Alex Boyer picks up our top story from there.
According to Dallas police, text messages prove that the victim and suspect knew each other and had made plans to meet up and go to a lake back in April. Now, the victim, Daniel Irving, never came home. His mom reported him missing. It wasn't until nearly 3 months after his body was recovered that police have made an arrest in connection to the case.
19-year-old Lucas Roper is accused of tampering with evidence in connection to the drowning death of 18-year-old Daniel Irving in Lake Ray Hubbard back in April. Irving's body was discovered on April 17th, 4 days after he is believed to have drowned. Irving had reportedly gone to the lake with Roper and a juvenile suspect to swim and go fishing. Days after his body was recovered, Irving's family held this news conference demanding answers.
What do we want? Justice for Daniel Irving. When do we want it? Now.
Irving's family said then that they wanted a full and transparent investigation. On July 9th, Roper was arrested by Dallas police on 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. According to an arrest warrant affidavit, Roper was interviewed by detectives after Irving's body was found. Roper told police after the 3 of them had jumped into the lake from the railroad track bridge, Irving drowned and Roper panicked. Instead of calling 911, the affidavit states Roper told investigators he deleted all communication with Daniel Irving from his cell phone, adding that Roper confirmed he was aware that there would be an investigation into Daniel Irving's death and he did not want to get into trouble, and states Roper threw Daniel Irving's clothes in the tree line as they fled the location.
I'm sorry, what? You fucking all jump from a fucking bridge track and one of you fucking doesn't come back up from the water and your reaction is to grab his phone, grab his clothes, throw him in the tree line, delete communication, and run home and pretend it never happened. In what fucking world? Y'all. And this is in Texas. But they're just tampering with evidence is all they got on these kids. They're just gonna believe the story. So
The juvenile suspect also told investigators he admitted he threw Daniel Irving's cell phone from the vehicle after suspect Roper told him to.
We, the family, are deeply inclined these individuals intended on no one looking for Daniel, fighting for Daniel, advocating for Daniel.
Irving's siblings said his young life was full of promise.
He had just begun his recruitment to the U.S. Army. He was trained with discipline. He carried himself with a purpose. He believed in building a life of service.
This has been tough on our family. Daniel was our protector, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. He was a good kid, and he just didn't deserve that.
Roper was booked into the Dallas County Jail. I can tell you that his bond has been set at $10,000. Now, we don't know the status of the juvenile suspect. Because he is a minor, Dallas police are not releasing any additional information. Reporting at Dallas Police Headquarters, Alex Boyer, Fox 4 News.
Know who is speaking. And let me say again that we're standing with this family till the very end and make sure we're dealing with justice. Let's first hear from the mother, Christine Wansley.
First of all, I want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. this is not how I wanted the world to meet my son, but here we are. So, as you know, I'm Christine Wells Wansley. I am Nolan Wells's mom. And Nolan is the kindest soul. He never met a stranger. He loved everybody. He didn't care if you were black, white, purple, green, looked like a marshmallow. Like, he just wanted everyone to be in peace with one another. He loved life, and God gave him this big heart, which always scared us. Me and his dad had conversations with him all the time, not just about the importance of understanding our history as Black people, but also the importance of how you have to move in certain spaces. And it's not us being, feeding into racism or the stereotypes that comes with that. Unfortunately, that is just a matter of fact. There have been many cases, many instances that shows it's unfortunately a pattern that he did not like. He did not like that there was so much division, and I think that's why God gave him us. He was really a peacemaker. He wanted, like I said, everyone to be included. He never wanted to leave anyone out. He just, even at a young age, I don't know, he was, how old was he?
18?
No, not 18. When he was a baby, he did a little dance. So his father and I were having a moment, and as couples do, and even in that moment, he runs in the room with his diaper on, of course, and he starts dancing, because it was like he could feel the tension. He could feel that something wasn't right. So he was just a special kid. Like, he was a special kid.
Y'all, I low-key thought she meant they were fucking and he ran in while they were fucking, but now I just realized she meant when they were fighting.
Kid, but again, just heart was so big. And we're gonna miss him dearly. But we are grateful, especially to our friend Tashima, who actually was one of the people who helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone from where it was, and then provided that to us, because we of course contacted authorities to figure out who to do the report with, whether it was the county or the city, which then turned into DMR, who I contacted immediately from there. But
Can you tell them how you got the cell phone?
So our friend actually, when I called her, Nolan is best friends with her two sons, Jalen and Javon. When I called her, I said, Tashima, have you seen Nolan? He's missing. No one has seen him. No one has talked to him. The boys were actually with her sons. So they opened up their Snapchat, because a lot of the kids do have their locations where they're tracking one another. So one of the boys says, well, it's showing that, I can't exactly remember what his location was showing, but my Life 360 location was showing something completely different. It was actually showing that his phone was like he was on land. And so we ended up, she received the phone from that parent, and then we met up where his car was, which was at a separate location. There were issues obtaining the key, but even so, there was just a lot of...
Tell them about what happened with the keys.
So I'm gonna let my husband tell you about that, because he actually went up to the door to get the key, because at that point, I was just not in my right mind. This has just been an awful situation, just terrible.
Elmore Wansley, the father.
Okay, so the situation with the key. When we got to the house, a few of his friends, they were already there. And they were at the door in the house, asking questions. So when I walked up, they were getting, things were getting kind of tense. So I turned to them and told them, I need you guys to calm down. I don't do this to me right now. I need them to kind of trust me so they can give me something. So I was able to calm them down. So the guy, he's in one of the pictures, he came out of the room, half asleep or whatever, I think Jack's or whatever. And I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. I'm here to get his keys so I can get his car. I said, he's like,
his car was in the yard.
His car was parked in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car home? He walks off, 2 or 3 minutes, come back. I can't find the keys. I said, okay, so at that point, I get the boys and I move them out the house because I didn't want them to go into the house and start tearing up these people's houses because then that would be a whole other situation. So we walk outside by the car. One of the guys that was in the house with us, he was on the phone with a girl, and the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently she was there with him earlier. So he goes back up to the door by himself and
why would they know that a girl that was there earlier would know where Nolan's keys ended up? If Nolan left his shit with people, like, Nolan left his keys with me why would the girl randomly know the story of where Nolan's keys ended up or why? Like, why would that be important? Why would that be such important information for even her to know? That's weird to me.
5 minutes later, the keys come out. So now I feel like you done lied to me. So now I'm really like in distrust with you. But as far as that night goes, if I knew anyone who had a boat, I would have went out that night.
No.
Looking for my son. We tried, but I don't have friends with boats. But if I knew someone with one, I would have went out that night. And this so happened that his coach saw all the stuff on Facebook that next morning and called and contacted me at like 5 in the morning, asked me did we want to go out. And I told him yes. So within an hour, he was at the dock. We met him and we went out. We docked the boat, got out the boat, walked on the island, walked a pretty nice stretch, came back, got back on the boat, went around the island, looked, came back around, and where we went to, that's where apparently they.
Tammy says Nolan was staying the weekend there. He didn't take his keys on the boat. They were at the house he stayed at. That's fine. But why the fucking reaction like that? Why was everyone acting a fucking fool because his dad wanted his fucking keys? That's fucking weird. That's the fucking weird part.
Say that his body floated up. I don't know a lot about water currents over there, but I would think that we would have saw his body. Mm-hmm. And on the trip there was a family that stayed a night on the island, like actually tented out on the island. So if he was left, he would have saw that family on the island, and there was 2 other boats docked, so he would have had help. So I don't know. I don't know. I think we stayed there for like an hour and a half. That's when Jackson County and the Sheriff Department showed up, and they were going to do their rounds. And I had a classmate of mine, him and his 2 boys, they came out and they searched, and then they got back in touch with me and said the Coast Guard had finally showed up and airplanes. So
what is so critical, what Elmore is saying is they went out on Sunday and the tide, if it brought his body up, he went missing on July 4th, as they say. His body should have been there on July 5th. Why would it not appear to July 6th? And that's one of those things that's just not adding up. And the fact that if he stayed behind on the island, there were boats there, there were people, somebody had to see something. That's why it's not adding up. And that's what they're saying. It's just not adding up.
Yes. And if he was there 2 days, somebody on the island would be able to verify that. 2 days, and nobody's come forward and say, no, he was with us, or no, we saw him. It just does not make sense. Make it make sense.
Just one last thing. We want her to talk about the cell phone deleted messages. I'm sorry. I thought my voice was loud enough. One last thing. We want to have Christine talk about the cell phone from her perspective before they tell you who Nolan was, and then we'll take your questions.
So when we made it home, my sister and I actually went through Nolan's cell phone, particularly Snapchat, because that is so popular with the children. And when we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed, hey Ma, come on, take a picture of me. You know, like he just, that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts. But I do want to say this. I would hope that any parent who, God forbid, would be in our situation, I would hope that you would do the same thing. I would hope that you would ask for any help, receive any help to get answers, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We just want to know. We just want to know what happened and why our baby didn't come home. Like that's our biggest thing. And we are so grateful to everyone, family, friends, classmates, United Cajun Navy, everybody that's assisted us. We appreciate you. There's not enough thank yous that we could say or give to you, but I just, we just want to know. We want an honest, thorough investigation. That's all we're asking for. That's it.
Do you want to say about who knows?
Earlier today, the family of Nolan Wells met with the district attorney, who confirmed the investigation will eventually be turned over to a grand jury. They're still wondering what happened to the 18-year-old on the July 4th weekend. Let's bring in Anna Schechter, who runs our crime unit. She's joining us right now. Anna, so what are we learning about those new details in this case? What can you tell us?
Well, we actually have obtained new movement records, GPS data. Our Jared Eggleston and Skylar Henry down in Mississippi obtained this from a Mississippi entity, and it actually shows exactly where the boat left from when it arrived at Horn Island. You're seeing, as that scrolls down on your screen there, you're seeing that July 4th, that tracking movement, the vessel reaching Horn Island around 11:14 a.m. And then we also see when the boat left. Now, as we've been reporting, Nolan Wells was not on that boat, although his keys and phone were. And so we see the boat then go and actually dock at a different location, then drive overland to the home of the owners of the boat. So this is new information that is all being reviewed by investigators who are still trying to figure out exactly what happened to Nolan Wells, Mugo.
Yeah, his parents have a lot of questions there. Anna Schechter, thank you so much for bringing us that update.
Tonight, new audio shedding light on the moments before some of Nolan Wells' friends left Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi. A mom of one of the friends last week said the group left without Nolan when their boat began malfunctioning.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
NBC News has obtained audio as part of a records request that details the group calling for towing assistance.
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
Nolan went to the island in a boat with friends on July 4th. His body was found 2 days later. It's unclear whether Nolan was with anyone when he disappeared. This as the search for answers in the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells continues. His family's attorneys saying they'll now work side by side with investigators to analyze Nolan's cell phone.
So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has.
Nolan's parents previously said they believe content may have been deleted from the phone. The case will be presented to a Mississippi grand jury once the investigation is complete. The local district attorney telling NBC News that's a standard practice for cases with an unknown cause of death and not an indication that a crime was committed. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter says his team has interviewed several witnesses and is working to get answers for the family.
Do you feel like you're getting useful information that's been helpful to figuring out what happened?
Yes, sir. We're getting very useful information, and we appreciate the public coming forward with what they've had, and we don't want them to be hesitant.
Today, the family met with the district attorney for more than an hour.
It was just a meeting where she talked about the process. She didn't tell us any information about the investigation. We're trying to get to those answers.
That does not sound, to me, from that sheriff, that does not sound like this investigation is a nothing burger. That doesn't sound like that at all. Not one tiny bit. In fact, it sounded like they were developing evidence.
As tonight, Nolan's family prepares to hold his funeral next week.
He would not want us to be sitting around crying and eating, and so what we're going to do is kind of have a party to celebrate him.
Tom, the state and independent autopsy results are not back yet. The family attorney says he does plan to release those details when he has them. Tom?
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch.
July 4th, 2026, Horn Island, Mississippi.
So, what do y'all think? Like T was saying, what are your theories in the chat? I have no idea, to be quite honest. How could I? It seems fucking suspect. There are things I do not like. I think the reaction from the friends has been odd. I don't think that's, but you know, you try not to judge on demeanor and behavior, but I think that there are a lot of cases out there where I've seen a group of friends murder a mutual friend. So it's not like peculiar to me by any means. that something could have happened where somebody ended up getting in a fight or something like that, or something got out of hand. Who knows? Who knows? But it's not totally out of pocket. It's not like something that's totally out of question, right? The phone is, yeah, like woman is saying, the phone knows. I did want to say the parents did this amazing, smartest thing I've ever. I wouldn't have even thought of. The parents, when they retrieved Nolan's phone, they've still not turned it over to the sheriff's department for them to investigate the phone. They've instead made an agreement with the DA. They were just talking about that their own independent investigator will investigate the phone alongside the sheriff's department, will be able to retain information through that investigation. And I just thought that was the goddamnest smartest fucking thing I'd ever heard of. Like, you can't trust the history here. You just can't. T says, why don't the parents trust law enforcement? Because they have a black son in a 77 to 80% predominantly white county, city, town, with a history of corruption, conviction of 31 counts of various crimes from the longtime sheriff, Mike Bird. Yep, it's Mississippi. Enough said. There's and I've been watching coverage from other people, like I said earlier in the beginning, like Don Lemon, for example, and he's had people on there talking about the fact that he's had black journalists on there who have a well-educated knowledge of situations like these, who I've heard two different ones talk about the fact that there have been multiple cases of finding black men hanging in trees around the country and it just being ruled a suicide and everyone moves on. Despite the fact that the undertone of that, it has a very fucking horrible history, and why would any black individual want to end their lives that way, given the history? Think about it. How many that's a statistic they couldn't even begin to fucking figure out. How many black individuals were found hanging from trees that were just ruled suicides? And again, that's more the point with this story, and why I want to cover it right now, especially, is like the way people are offended by the fact that people are worried and investigating the white friends. They have every fucking reason in the world to need to investigate that properly. Every fucking reason in the world. And those friends should be willing to be forthcoming as fuck. And instead, they haven't been. Some of their parents have lawyered up. One of their parents is a judge who came out with a public statement before anything. It reeks of weirdness. So that being said, that is the point of covering this, and why it's important right now is not just like, oh, those kids murdered him. It's more of the fact that because of everything we know and this past and this location and this recent history with corruption in this county, they just want a proper investigation for their son, and they deserve that. And if it ends up that they find evidence of simple just drowning and there's no extenuating factors or, signs of bruising from God knows what, or anything odd, they still deserve a very proper fucking investigation. And that's the least the county could do for this family. Also considering the history there. If anything, I think white people in general as a community, if anything, should be more than willing to do the right thing when it's most important. And this is one of those times where you need to do the right thing when it's most important. And, that's giving this family the proper respect they deserve and the proper investigation they deserve. And by the way, what's really fucking pissing me off too is just still the fact that in this county, you have 72 hours deadline to release an incident report, and the parents, Nolan Wells' parents, still don't even have an incident report. A fucking incident report. That's it. They met with the DA today, and they don't even have a fucking incident report. And it's like they're both playing chicken for the autopsy, the preliminary autopsy results. It's like, are we playing chicken to see who says what first? What are we doing? Is the county scared to be caught in a whoopsie? What's going on with that? So, that being said, I just hope everyone keeps talking about Nolan Wells and this investigation, and I think recent developments today and Jackson County Sheriff coming out and actually making comments and saying, they're getting somewhere is a good sign. The fact that the DA said they're going to present their findings to a grand jury. Good. So there'll be, outside third party people kind of deciding where to go with what they find out. Yeah. So hopefully I just hope from this point on it keeps moving in a positive way and this family gets some answers, but I'm going to keep talking about this case because you can't, the reason why something like this has so much attention right now is because so many of these cases no one ever finds out about. And I'm just thinking about the lost lives out there to murders that no one even knows anything about because of the color of the victim's skin is horrific. And I don't want Nolan Wells to be one of those people. I want his family to get for real solid answers. And that's all we can hope for. And I love you guys. And thank you so much for covering this with me tonight. This case, again, has just been super important to me. It's touched me. So, yeah, I really appreciate you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we'll come back and talk about Nolan Wells later. Bye.